Trevor Mallard.
My question is to the Minister for Communications and Information Technology. Who made the decision to defer MediaWorks' payment of $43 million to the Crown?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, Cabinet made a decision in October 2009 to offer all radio broadcasters deferred payment terms on their spectrum licence renewals. MediaWorks was one of 9 companies to take this up. I would note I put out a press release announcing the deferred payment option on 27 October 2009, some 17 months ago.
Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Did he take part in that Cabinet discussion?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Yes, I did take part in that Cabinet discussion.
The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker. Was the Cabinet told that the interest rate was between 1/2 and 1/3 of what banks' rates were at the time for distressed companies?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, in the announcement, the Cabinet did make a decision on the interest rate to be offered, and it also was in the announcement that I made subsequent to that decision was that it would be 9.5% plus the inflation rate at the time, which I think has worked out in the case of the company in question at 11.2%.
The Honourable, point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
The question wasn't what the rate was, it was whether the Cabinet were appraised of a particular fact.
Order.
I don't think that... Was the answer yes or no?
Order. No, the members won't exchange. I'll invite the member to repeat his question to avoid...
Was the Cabinet told that the interest rate was between 1/3 and 1/2 of the banks' rates for distressed companies?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
I'll repeat my answer, and the answer is that Cabinet was told, and I announced afterwards, that the interest rate would be at 9.5% plus the inflation rate applying at the time, which is what Treasury recommended as a rate for the loan, and that was announced in the press release.
Thank the Minister. The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Will the current 11% interest rate made available to that distressed company also be made available to distressed companies suffering from the effects of the Canterbury earthquake?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, the member confuses himself. This was a deferred payment terms for radio spectrum licence renewals. It was announced at the time, and it was done at the time because there was a very significant number of renewals required at the time, at the same time as the economic recession was at its worst, and Cabinet took the decision to allow those payments to be made over time, provided there was no cost to the Crown and that interest was recovered, and that's what happened.
Sue Kedgley.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In light of the Government's decision to allow the privately owned broadcaster MediaWorks to defer payment of $43 million to the Crown, will the Government end its 5-year funding freeze on Radio New Zealand and not require a full-year dividend from state broadcaster TVNZ? And if not, why not?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, I don't have a responsibility for either TVNZ and RNZ. However, I would point out that private broadcasters pay for their frequencies and Radio New Zealand doesn't. So if we're in the business of saying that there should be equal treatment, then either Radio New Zealand has to start paying or the private broadcasters have to stop.
The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Speaker, now that the 11% rate has been established as an appropriate rate for deferrals or loans, has been established as an appropriate rate for a deferral, which is shown in the MediaWorks accounts as a loan, will that also be made available to businesses in Christchurch?
Order. The Minister can only answer that within his ministerial responsibilities, but if he can answer it within his ministerial responsibilities, he's welcome to try.
Well, all I can say, Mr Speaker, is that it is a deferred payment on frequencies, and the member needs to understand that. And I would point out too that ultimately if the government hadn't offered it and radio broadcasters would have gone broke, then the member and his friends would have been down at the House accusing us of not doing anything to help save jobs in the broadcasting industry.
The House now comes to order. The House now comes to questions to members and questions.